Welcome back to Sunday Night in America. President Trump promised a golden age for America, but he never said it would be easy. Cutting the size and scope of government is hard, which is why it's so rarely tried. Change is hard. Ending wars is hard. Delivering bad news is hard. The economy is sending mixed signals. Inflation, job creation, unemployment, and the prospect of trade competition seem to have rattled the markets. The markets don't just impact people of wealth. Their pension plans and retirement savings and everyday Americans are impacted, and it's on a roller coaster. So when does it end?
When it comes to the stock market, the numbers that we see today, the numbers we saw yesterday, the numbers we'll see tomorrow are a snapshot of a moment in time. And as President Trump has said, and I'm here to echo the remarks of this president of this White House, we are in a period of economic transition.
2.4% contraction?
Correct. First quarter.
Okay, right here, right now. That is ridiculous.
The president's not relenting on tariffs, but neither are other countries. So where does that lead us? Joining us is Forbes media chairman and editor-in-chief Steve Forbes. Welcome, Mr. Forbes. I actually stopped looking at the market. I've been watching Silence of the Lambs. Yes, sir, you too. I've been watching Silence of the Lambs because it's less scary for me than looking at the stock market. So what's going on with the market?
Well, don't pay too much attention to Hannibal right now, but the uncertainty of the tariffs has really had businesses and individuals halting on their plans. They want to see what the rules of the road are going into the future. So the sooner the president can get stability in terms of setting these tariff rates, people know what the rules of the game are. Rates don't change 25, 50%, 10%, because that disrupts, it's not just prices, it's the supply chain. Who are you going to buy from in terms of materials, at what price? So the sooner that gets done, the better. But all of that underscores something, and you've been hitting on in the past, the need to pass immediately a big, beautiful tax cut bill to get real tailwinds for this economy. And that's what happened in 2017. The tariffs didn't come until after the tax bill was passed. That was good. So in terms of the tax bill, I hope your colleagues, former colleagues, throw away the roadblocks thrown up by the Congressional Budget Office, which is not in the Constitution, and put a big tax cut in place. Not just renewing the tax cuts, Trey, but also cutting individual income tax rates. Get around this blue state obsession with deductibility of SALT, state and local taxes, and cut to 2 tax rates. I hate to get nerdy here, but there are 2 critical tax rates in the code, 22% and 24% personal tax rates. It goes up to $395,000 for a couple filing jointly. If you cut those 2 rates down to 15%, that would give a huge boost to the economy. You combine that with what the president proposed during his campaign, including Social Security, getting the corporate tax rate down to 15% for profits made here and products and services sold here. You get this big, huge tax bill passed, and you'll see the markets behaving better. You'll see the economy behaving better. So get this stuff together, and we will be able to see gold on the horizon.
I am sure the guys and gals working on that reconciliation package are listening to you right now, Mr. Forbes. Let me ask you about tariffs and trade. It could be argued that no one actually wins a trade war. So what is the president trying to do, and how are other countries reacting, and where do you see this ending?
Well, the key thing is the hope was that the threat of tariffs and imposition of tariffs would focus, and we'll see in April when the president makes this big, huge proposal on tariffs, that other countries would reduce their trade barriers. So we get a reduction of trade barriers, which would be good for everybody. But you're right, tariffs are a tax, and economic theologians can argue as to who pays what proportion of it. But it is a tax, it is an expense. And so the sooner we get in a path where we can see that rates are going to be lowered because it's in the interest of everybody. If a country has a higher tax rate, this will be an inducement to lower their tax rate. But in the meantime, the way this thing is played out, as you alluded to, is the U.S. is now seen as an enemy in Canada. Mexico, the leftist new president there, has an 85% approval rating for allegedly standing up to President Trump. Same thing in Britain. And so the sooner we get this thing on a track where people see predictability on how the rules are made and what the rules are, the better for all of us. And once again, we can start to see the brass turn to gold.
All right, before I let you go, cutting government is hard, which is why it's almost never tried. If you were standing before a town hall trying to explain to people why the pain, why the temporary suffering, what would you say to them? Because it is tough on some people.
It is, and when you do something in a rush, you're going to have situations where you're going to have to make reversals. You got the courts getting involved and all that sort of thing. But I would simply tell people this is your money that's being wasted, and the money should go for what is appropriated for. You mentioned earlier in your show the education department. That is the antithesis what they've done to education. So return those monies to you, the parents, return them to the states, and let you decide how those dollars are going to be spent in terms of improving education opportunities. So I would just say it's your money. If you want it wasted, we can continue the old ways, but it's just going to get worse. What the revelations of what Lee Zeldin, the commissioner of the EPA, revealed in terms of billions of dollars being wasted in terms of these things that are unaccountable. It's like laundering money. They give it to an organization, that gives it to other organizations, and you end up financing stuff. People scratch their heads, how did this happen? And fortunately, Musk and the Muscovites are digging in a way, in a granular way that has never been done before, finding out where the money really goes.
Steve Forbes, thank you for joining us. Usually you have to pay a lot of money to get advice from you, but tonight we got it for free. So Steve Forbes, thank you for joining us on a Sunday night.